285 Mackay and 282 Mauka, 40 acres of which is intact ancient Keikis family resides. So for us, it's much more than a job, it's kuleana. And so after about 8 years, this thing came along called charter schools. And we were taking care of, thousands of kids coming through here from the public schools. For whole school, we worked with 2 days a week. For example, the kids that were supposedly so kolohe, they weren't even allowed on campus. And they worked with a state archaeologist. And what, I saw was that when the kids had some, cultural component and relevance to their work, and they were outdoors doing the mapping of the archaeological sites and looking at the native plants and the medicinals and everything, that when they had that relevance and that cultural component, that all of a sudden the light and the joy of learning came back on in their eyes because there was relevance. And so we were encouraged by Dr. Kukak Alau when the charter movement came along to start a charter school. And I was really resistant because it was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what is that or how to do that. But Keiki said, no, we really need to do this for our community. We need choice in education for our children. And in fact, what happened for me, at any rate, a really defining moment in my life was that we had the kids coming down 2 days a week, and really great teachers from Bahoa School. But principals and teachers are always changing, and there was a new special ed teacher that came along, and I guess because I was Caucasian from Canada, she sidled up to me and with her hands on her hips, and she said, "What are you even bothering with those no good for nothing Hawaiians for?" This was like a new teacher that came in that day, and that was my ho'ailona. It just got me to the core of my being, and hurt me so deeply that I just said, okay, that was it. Mahalo ke akua. Got the message, and so we embarked upon starting a charter school. We had no infrastructure here at all, no buildings whatsoever, but we worked with Reverend John Makuakane, and he allowed us the use of the Opikau Church down the road. And we started with 26 children in grades 6 through 8, and then slowly added a grade every year. We figured, small, strong, and successful, we would grow up with the children and learn as we go. And it's been a really intensive journey, and for those of you that know charter schools know that we've been underfunded and really not treated equally, even though we're a public school. So a lot of my time is spent either trying to fight the legislature for equity for our children, or raising the money. So we've raised all the money for all these buildings, and they're not the best, but they're okay. And now we have 286 children in grades K through 12, and so it's a beautiful thing. And so we're all about relationship to place, and having our kids make sure that they meet all the academic standards, but also integrating as much as we can relevant place-based learning and knowledge that is culturally based. I really want my kids to be able to have all the skill sets to be entrepreneurs, so that they can go and manifest and create anything that they want. They don't have to leave their community if they want to ranch, if they want to do whatever it is they want to do, that they have the skill sets that they can do that. So we have some cool initiatives going on. We have culinary programs, agroforestry, organic agriculture. We see our solar dryer out front. You guys are welcome to look in it. It's very cool what they're doing with the solar dryer, aquaponics, and other initiatives, and trying to make tie in with college, and just hopefully create a love of learning for our Hamana. One story I just wanted to share with you, because I just thought some of you might appreciate this one story, and then we'll get on with our mission for the day. And it's just about utilizing the resources that we have, because even though Puna has such a bad reputation, I believe that we're really wealthy and rich. We have assets and resources, and if we learn how to appropriately harness them and sustainably harness them, that we can make great gains. So again, we had no facilities, and when we started the school, we got $150,000 from the federal government, and they told us, well, you have to be compliant with your facilities, but you can't rent, lease, build, or buy. I'm like, what's up with that? I can't rent, lease, build, or buy, and I have no money, but I have to start a school and I have to be compliant. So how the heck do I do that? Well, it just so happened that Keiki and I had a friend, because we were working with the Navajo community, and the lady in Washington, I called her up and I said, what's up with that? And she said, hey Susie, there's always a loophole. You can renovate to code. I was like, shoot, okay, mahalo keokua, because the county, Keiki and I have been caretaking what's now Ahalanui Park, the old Duluth, where the Duluths were before. And for those of you that remember, there was the Hicks home, and it was a 16 by 80 redwood house, abandoned. We lived there with no water or power or anything to try to keep it, when it became a park, safe for a while. And that was interesting. And, and so anyway, the county was going to tear that down and do their renovations. And so we asked them, could you please donate the building to our nonprofit? And so they said, sure, and they brought it over. So we were able to utilize that money and then get the architecture to do the design and the drawings for that building, that old Hicks home, which everyone was looking at me saying, piece of shit, what are you doing with that building? And I'm like, you're kidding, it's a solid redwood house, right? So we got it on over here, we did the designs, but we realized, we get a lot of big Hawaiian kids, and like the rooms are 16 feet wide, and the doors were not ADA compliant. So we kind of had to just redo everything and make the rooms bigger. This is the result of this, what you see here. And so what we did was we repurposed the whole building. So all the beautiful redwood louvers in this whole building, that is that home. So that's what happened for those of you that know that home. And I thought some of you might enjoy this little mo'olelo, and to see how we can creatively make great things available for our kids. So anyway, that's probably enough stories. As far as, I'm sorry, we were trying to raise some money for our certified community kitchen and Lua. So currently all we have is porta potties, so they're over there. There's some potable drinking water in the fountains right out there. Help yourself. And other than that, I just really welcome you to Kuala'a and to this place. And Keiki, I'd like you to give some other little introduction that is always way better than anything I have to say.
Oh, mahalo to all of you for coming here to the Halemana Share. Really an opportunity and a privilege to meet all of you. Really don't appear it, but I'm ecstatic to have all of you. Mahalo Puna Kami. I think this is a wonderful place for sharing, and I think it's time to go back to the future. So as everybody talking about organics and indigenous microorganisms, I'm really enthused, and mahalo to Mike for having and the university and Kumu today. But really, I'd like to thank all of you for being part of this community and making us all a little bit more sustainable, which everybody should be. I think that we should all be good neighbors, because the outside forces is something we cannot control, but we can be good neighbors and control things in our household and around in our community. So if we don't like any pesticides or other things, we're actually having to rely on outside sources, and I think this is the focus of the thing about Kuala is actually this is one of the gathering places when the first people came, and they documented that this is actually one of the places to gather. We are really excited today because not only we're going to learn about IMOs, but if you guys are reading and if you look back in history, when William Ellis and Artemis Bishop and Asa Thurston, the first missionaries came in 1820, and they started walking from California coming this way. But they actually talk about is how we Puna, all the way from California all the way to over here. And they said this is the most beautiful place. And in the chant in Hawaii, back in the time, they call this place Pale Uli, which is like a heaven in the heavens. And they talk about the people growing the sweetest and most fertile the ground was it just broken lava of and how they used to plant in the planting style, coho being for mounds. And actually what they talk about in there is that in the mounds of rocks, they would have the most beautiful and prolific sweet potatoes. And they said at the time of planting, all they had is all this rock. And what would happen is, when they after they put them, they would actually have one handful of soil. So along that line, that handful of soil was actually inoculating the whole part, and that's actually IMO. Yeah? So it's nothing new, but it's now renewed, and I'm ecstatic to learn how the IMOs go. So I really appreciate that. And thank you for coming here and like the concept of community. So we can go and share, mahalo po na po being present and sharing in Manawa and vai with the fellow. So when we get that opportunity, like to invite all of you to come and share on our place and contribute to the planting in this school. Mahalo. And just like to thank the powers that be for being the EK and all of you here with all of your presence. Mahalo for this day, and that we be safe and our minds be open and our hearts too, that we can take upon a lot of learnings, not only from up there, but from each and every one of you. To each and every one of you, mahalo. Welcome.
Do you guys have a pen to write on this board?
Yes.
Or can I?
There's some stuff right there.
Hey, I can erase this, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And if you haven't signed in, please make sure you do at some point in the day, just because this is funded by a grant and we need to be accountable to that, so thank you.
Okay, can everyone do this? Okay, so when we do natural farming things, things we've been kind of keeping going when we do presentations and seminars, is that we have an incantation, which is this chant here. This chant is to bring the hidden wisdom into our presence and to manifest it here with us. So if everyone could stand, hold hands with your neighbor. We're going to make a big circle. And we're going to go through this chant. This chant is said 3 times. Okay? So if you're unfamiliar with it, you can just kind of follow my lead on it. And we'll go through it. Okay? So, E po mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea luna no e au o na mele. E o mai, e o mai, e o mai e. O mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea luna no e au o na mele. E o mai, e o mai, e o mai e. O mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea luna no e au o na mele. E o mai, e o mai, e o mai e. 2 claps. Okay, thank you. Again, I want to extend mahalo for inviting me down here. I was down here, did the Puna Ulu Fest about 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago.
No, it was last year.
Last year, okay, last year.
And this year again.
And this year again I'll be doing it, and it was a wonderful time. I was able to extend the natural farming back to where I was born. I was born in Puna, in Hawaiian Acres, and seeing it all come back, the island revive, get the farming going, makes me happy. So that's why I'm here again, because it all comes from the love in the heart. So, still waiting to get the presentation going. I got some great photos. That's really like what ties it all in. Seeing is believing on this. Doing it is, even better. So looking forward to having a series of this going. My name is Drake. Born and raised on the Big Island. Love this place. And I want to start off with two things. The first being that all of you here already are natural farmers. Each and every one of you is interacting with microorganisms in our environment. And that's what defines a natural farmer, is the microorganisms, the environment, tapping into that. So you already are natural farmers. You're only going to get better at it, because the more you know and the wisdom that's been revealed to me can pass that on, and it's just like clicking in your head. You'll see things that, oh, this relates to that, and this is why I put fertilizer on at this time, and you know, all of it makes sense when you understand that we are living on a living planet. That this earth, there's microorganisms on this table. I'm not touching the table, I'm touching microorganisms. You know, there's a layer between me and anything, and that's microorganisms. The second thing is, I got a joke. So I have a friend, Mitt, and he was watching television. And his television commercial comes on, and it says, "Forget everything you know about pool cleaners." So Mitch goes, okay, forgets everything he knows about pool cleaners. And for the next 5 minutes, the commercial talked about pool cleaners, and he had no idea what they were talking about. But the only reason I bring that up is that this natural farming is a different paradigm. That sometimes we're used to certain things in farming, and if we can kind of let go and just forget that we know anything about pool cleaners, it's this whole new experience to us, and we can learn different things. Because if you don't have that resistance, then this whole thing flows. I mean, that's the key to natural farming, is it should come natural, it should come easy. This whole thing should be going. So, you got the thing?
I got a computer.
Sweet. Okay. So maybe we'll get. So all the technology and stuff, it's all fun, good stuff, but it's really about what's at your feet. And I myself actually have a degree in computer science. But why am I farming? Why am I out here doing this? Why, even I'm working with a computer right now, but why is my main mission in the dirt, in the soil? And that's what I want to talk to you about, because that's the opportunity I think is coming up. Put that in right here. So how many people here, just by show of hands, are familiar with IMO, that term? Raise them high. Okay. So lots of people here have heard IMO.
Excuse me, what is IMO?
Yep. So for the people that have not heard of the IMO, it is an indigenous microorganism. So that means it's the microorganism that's already living right here, that we're going to take that guy and make it stronger and better, and it'll go and make our plants grow better. So the IMO is like a miniature farmer. I'll teach you guys how to cultivate those.
Anything added to it?
Yes, sir. There's a whole process that I will get through, and I got slides to go through it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
No worries, no worries. Okay, so we're good there.
What did you make your software? What's your software?
It's a PDF, so it should jump around anything.
You have a screen or something?
on-site and stuff like that. Spend half the time setting up the technology.
You can play with the projector a little bit to level it out, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see.
So okay. Just move the whole part.
You wanna go full screen?
Yes, I do. Okay, so basically today I want to talk to you about three things: growth, integrity, and health. And those were the three things that were put on the poster. It was said, why is natural farming the fastest growing organic system around? Why is it an integrated farm system for your entire farm, for the integrity? And how can it help benefit us with human health? Because that's really what, at the end of the day, what really matters is if you're healthy. So, okay, so natural farming has had pretty humble beginnings, even though now it's considered one of the fastest growing organic systems. This is it in the beginning. This was one of the first natural farming meetings I went to in Cal, and this guy grew this huge Chinese cabbage here. It was, compared to his side-by-side trial of his natural farming using the microorganisms versus conventional. And we started learning from Dr. Park here. And this is an early, I actually got these pictures from another practicing natural farmer. And this is like in 2008 maybe that this was happening. But basically, we just started experimenting with the information Dr. Park had brought over. And we started turning these piles here, which is a process to take the IMO that we find and to bulk it up to a way that now it's going to perform better in our plants. So there's a 4-step process that we had followed that Dr. Park brought over, like kind of verbatim from Korea. He actually learned it in the Philippines and then brought it from Korea here. These are other early things that we were making. These are the inputs where we'll take certain fruits and mix them with sugar to get extracts out to use those things. And that's what we're going to replace our fertilizer with, is things like this. And then this here growing, this is actually the IMO itself. It's like the moldy bread mold, the white hairs on it. And that's the IMO. And that's an early picture of us trying to figure out, okay, what is IMO? What's happening? How do we identify it? And so that's just an early picture of that. Also in natural farming, if you're just beginning into natural farming, it may seem overwhelming, like there's a lot of inputs, because there are about 10 different recipes that you kind of have to know and or have the materials for to make the whole system work. So when we're working with Dr. Park here, you can see, we have these different formulas and kind of reading from the book. You guys maybe have this book here. Anybody? And if anyone's tried to read this thing is pretty Kringlish, huh? Like the thing doesn't, it's like enzyme ferment, and you're like, what are they saying? So taking basically the recipes from this book, from what Dr. Park had known from his sessions in Korea, his training things, bringing them here and trying to teach us how to relate this to a totally different thing, because Eastern thinking on this versus kind of more Western or even indigenous thinking here is a different thing, and so you got to kind of translate it across. So we spent time with Dr. Park, and ultimately this was the best way to learn, was getting your hands dirty even though he has gloves on. Getting into it is the way to learn. My other mentor here getting started is this guy right here. You may know him. He farms down here in Kalapana as well as Honomea. His name is Ginger John and Jackie. They've been organic farmers for years. And he basically kind of showed me the way. Was just transitioning kind of,
Is that Jackie Crow?
yeah, just trying to figure out what to do with my life. And Ginger John called me up. He said, "Come over, check out this IMO stuff." So I went over there, checked it out. Turned out there was a cute girl working on his farm then. So I ended up going over a couple more times. Probably wouldn't have been that interested otherwise. But, and really ended up learning from him there. The other lady here, Mary, she has a farm down in Popoa. Also been pretty instrumental in the early parts of getting natural farming together. And again, just making these different things and going through all the steps. And at that point, we really didn't know what we were doing, but just went for it. And Dr. Park bringing the lessons over straight from Korea. Like, here it is for us. And like I said, we didn't really know what we were doing, but the one thing you do know is look at those genuine smiles coming from these guys. When you really start to embrace the natural farming, the thing just radiates the happiness. I see some farmers, go wrap their head with a scarf and put all the things and go out and spray pesticides. And I don't know if they're nearly as happy as these guys who have their hands dirty right in the stuff. But you know what? You can lick it off. You can clean it with your tongue if you wanted to, and you would be healthier afterward. And that's something that in farming, if you're gonna eat it, you gotta be able to eat it, right? And so that's why they're happy, because they're like, no more chemicals, no more pesticides, this thing works, we're gonna figure it out, we're making it work. So this is kind of the turning point for me. I learned with Ginger John, then I met this fine gentleman right here who you may recognize. One of my heroes. And he told my dad, because we were looking to get some milk cows, so we ended up going up talking with Mike. And he ended up convincing my dad somehow that he should get in on this trip to Korea. I don't know how that all worked. I don't know. Never seen anyone else convince my dad like that, but Mike has some magic. And so we took off, and this is the group that I went to Korea with here. There were 20 of them? No, not quite 20, but enough to fill a small bus up. And there's me in the back of this bus, and we cruised around all of Korea. Literally the entire country in about a week in this little bus. And we got to go see farms and farms and farms. And in Korea, it's not like everybody's natural farming. There's basically pockets of these things. There's model farms that are really working. And I'm sure now, because I was there in 2009, I'm sure it's progressed much further and that they're really getting much more commercial success now. But basically what we saw was just a demonstration. This one here is cucumbers growing. I'm pretty sure it's cucumbers, unless it's melons. This one here, it's a tomato greenhouse. This one here is an apple orchard. So the thing works for veggies. We saw it working on rice. Here, this is working on cabbages. This one down here is strawberries. These are rows of strawberries in here. And then this here is Master Cho. And each of these sites, they kind of had this like official, they're working with Master Cho type of symbol. And we got to go see. And these are the people that he's helping out. The strawberry guy that we got to go see, he is so successful. He's growing strawberries the size of, like bigger than your fist, and the center is solid. There's no air core in there. Like sometimes you bite in, there's air. There's no air. The thing is completely dense. It's like eating it's just unbelievable. And this guy, he was the youngest farmer we had met. He was 40 years old. He was the leader of his co-op, and he was banking it with this strawberry system. He was selling it to like the equivalent of like Macy's in Korea, and they would chocolate dip these things, and they had them pre-ordered and everything. He was just cranking. And then there's me with these apples.
Oh, you look different.
I know. What happened, right?
What happened then? Must be the I'm just kidding.
You're happy now.
Yeah. Smiling, smiling.
Hair growth.
So, yeah, just the most amazing apple we've ever had. And the guys aren't using pesticides, they're not using chemicals. They've been on this system for, this guy was on this system for maybe 3 years now. And so he's starting to get, where basically he doesn't have to put nearly as much inputs in. That's the cool thing about natural farming is that you push it and the thing starts rolling.
What kind of, don't the apples, they like the colder weather? Is that cooler climate over there where the apples live?
Yeah, and so that's a good point. Is that Korea's climate is more like California. It's more north than us, and so here in Hawaii to farm this way, we gotta adapt it a little bit more to the tropics. Higher heats, more rain, different variables. So it's not exactly you cannot it's not like take that, put it here. There's a translation between. One of the cool things about Korea is we got, I was with Master Cho and there's Dr. Park translating and we got to go to all these farms and this was a chicken farm, so that's chicken.
Wow.
And we visited like 4 or 5 farms a day and they would all feed us every time we went. So imagine eating like 5 lunches a day.
And all that farms is all farm IMO.
Yep. And so not only did we see the plants, this to me was actually the more relevant part to bring here. I mean, it's all relevant, but is these animal raising systems. That in Korea the land is different. That basically all the people are in high-rise buildings, and all the country is rice fields, except for these small pockets that they turn into other things. So they don't have space. They don't have cattle just grazing out like we do here, because we got land, right? They don't have that. So they have all their animals in confinement, and even the chickens. And this is a chicken system where these are the little chicks. And in the back here is a box specially designed with the microorganisms in there. And when the microorganisms are in there, they generate heat, just like the mother hen. So the little chicks go into there, they get warm, then they come out here and the water is right here in the front. So the idea is that they get the chicks running from in there, they got warm, they run out here, they go in there, they run out here. And it's that moving back and forth that makes them vigorous, that makes them strong. So these little keiki chicks have the strength. They have, they're feeding them the right food, but they're also providing the environment for them. So it's not just, oh, we feed them this. He's really studied how these animals want to behave and what they're doing. This is a pile of the fermented food. So they're taking the food and applying the microorganisms into that, letting the microorganisms digest it for 12 to 24 hours, and then feeding it to their animals. And since the microbes already started to eat it, they've broken down these complex things into simpler things that the animals. So as the food travels through the animal, it's going to digest more, and naturally the waste coming out the back is not as smelly. The smelly waste tends to be where there's, not all the food has been digested. There's still nutrients in it. So just on that alone, it's already less smelly. But they also have this is the bigger birds, and they have this floor system in here. So when the animal actually does make waste, the entire thing is eaten up right on the floor. It's digested in place. Again, this chicken coop is set up so that the feeders are here, the waterers are on this side, and then I think these are meat birds, so they had roosts back here. And then these are egg laying things, and they had an egg laying box on the side. But he's developed, the feeder to work with the chicken, that it's a V shape like this with a rolly bar on the top. So if the chicken tries to stand on the top, it falls off, so it can't make waste right into the food. And also that V shape helps it so that the chicken can reach over and peck, and then it can still scratch naturally under, and it's not going to put the food everywhere. It's going to stay there. It's going to keep it all clean and nice. So he's really studied the animals into this whole system. And then the other thing that this is the thing that blows me away. This is the thing that I think is the proof in the pudding of natural farming, is that you can have pigs like this and not a single odor, like bad smell is coming up. They're raising these, pigs right here, these little keikis, with no antibiotics, no docking the tails, no trimming the teeth, just natural right there without doing it. And the pigs are comfortable. I've been to pig pens where they're on concrete floor, and the pigs, they don't want to be on the concrete. They're uncomfortable. They want to be out of that. The pigs in this system are so comfortable, so happy that it's pleasant to be there. I have one of these pig pens at my house. When I take people up to visit it, they always stay there way longer than I think they would. Like, as if it's like this harmonizing thing to be there and just watch the animal, I think innately we all like watching the animals, and it's just fun to do, but the smell is good, the whole thing is there. And I wanted to, these two slides, the smaller pictures over here, I picked specifically because you see this thing right here? That's a little pig right there, and that's this pig right here. And so we came to visit this thing, and we're with Master Cho, and he had taught these guys how to do this system already, but they hadn't seen him for a year, I don't know how long. And we show up, this litter of pigs was delivered the night before, and this little pig got crushed by the mama. Mom sat on it, crushed it. And Master Cho shows up, and they're like, oh, and they're, it's always when your master shows up, you're always like, oh, do I have everything in line, and that. And they're a little bit, and they kind of didn't want to show Master Cho this pig, but he saw it, he picked it up like this, and I watched him, he slapped the pig, and he breathed into its nose and did some CPR type weird stuff on it. And this pig, by the time we left, half hour later, the thing was up, you couldn't tell which pig it was out of these pigs. They thought the pig was dead, he completely brought it back to life. So this guy not only has knowledge, he also has like this special thing that he can bring pigs back to life. So I know he's up to something good. And so the way in Korea they've been getting the information out, because that's why you guys are here today. You want this information. So how do I get it to you? How do I give it to you? What they're doing in Korea is they have a few learning centers. This is one of them. Basically, it's just a greenhouse like that. They put a nice little sign up for us, Hawai'i Natural Farmers Welcome. So they're spending some bucks on this, you can tell. But inside this learning center, there are all these barrels. And these barrels here are filled with, I think this one is some fish waste that's fermenting. But they have all kinds of things. This here is them making the microorganisms, them making the IMO. And then all this stuff in the back is the rice hulls and the material they're going to make it into. So they have, not only do they have the stuff on hand so that people can come in and learn, these are farmers. This isn't like dude that works here's thing. This is a farmer that's down, within this village that they're making it all together here. So when they come together, they make it together, then there's no question on how, did I do it right, did I not do it right. They have all the storage here. Once they're done making it, they even have a fridge outside, like you can't see it, but it's right here on the outside, that they take all the inputs and they put it in there. So they store it for you so it stays in good condition. They also then trade between them. So if you made too much of this and the other farmer, you have a real centralized place to give it to each other and make that work. Here's more examples. Like this here, like we opened up one of the things. This is the stuff fermenting. All this white stuff growing on it is the IMO growing there. Again, more clay jars. This is what they're fermenting their like plants and those types of things, which I'll get into in these jars here. And here's another bucket of just fish amino acid. Actually, I don't know what that is, but something fermenting. they would be able to explain to you all these different rock minerals and things. So people come in, they have a question about rock minerals, they have all that at the learning center. So they're able to give you, the right solutions you need. And also again, I just put this picture in because again, it's community storage. This was another place where they got together. This was a insulated room, so it kept cool, nice, not a lot of temperature fluctuation, and they kept all their inputs together so they could use it. And what they're doing in Korea is integrated farming. In terms of they're working along lines of like permaculture. Their ground cover, they're trying to get natural ground covers in. This was in a persimmon orchard, and this is their ground cover underneath. So it's not just bare dirt. They're protecting the soil. They're planting ground covers and getting into that. And they're also doing some high technology stuff. So they're able to take the farmers that come into those learning center things and to help them with marketing, to give them access to communication, markets, letting people know. So it's not just helping them farm, it's also helping them market, it's helping them network, it's helping getting people together that way. And they have a rice co-op. So this here, it's like a ton of rice, and this was their co-op that they're now milling the natural farming rice, because they're basically trying to set the natural farming brand apart from other things because the thing has so much more nutrition in the food. And I'll get into those reasons. But so they're marketing these, picture perfect apples, picture perfect persimmons for a pretty top dollar in bigger markets. So they had access to that there. But on the whole, it's funny because they're charging more and their production costs are less. So the natural farmers there are really making a huge margin. And that really helps. And so while we were in Korea, what we were able to do was start a city relationship, which is with Gyeongsang County. And the idea being that a sister city relationship enables us to send farmers from here to there and bring their farmers here. And just in exchange that way, practicing farmers. And we got that going, we got the relationship, and I'm not sure on the status of when and what the trips are going to happen, but it's all rolling through. So if you do get to go to Gyeongsang, be sure you get to ride this thing. It's like a little train thing that goes on the train tracks, and ride with Master Cho because it's a lot of fun. But here's the Koreans came here, and this is at the Hawaii County Council and relationship with Billy Kanoi. And this is us in Korea with Master Cho and Donald Ikeda, and that was the mayor then of Gyeongsang County, kind of getting this whole agreement going. So over the last couple of years, we got that together. So good relationships there. So my training after basically going to Korea and stuff is I learned from this guy here, which it's a little bit dark to see, but this guy here is Gil Karangdang. He is a master natural farmer in the Philippines. So he taught me how to, with just a machete and a bucket, do natural farming. And literally, you can get down to that level that, because we talk about, the brown sugar and the mill run, and Gil would look at us and be like, you're crazy. The farmers I work with, they don't even have a tarp. Like, they don't, they go to town once a month. Like, and so it's just a different paradigm. Whereas Master Cho is like the Rolls Royce, whereas Gil Karangdang is like the moped. Yeah. But you can ride the moped and you can get where you're going, and you can get from the moped up to the Rolls Royce if you do it right. And so learning this way, it gave me a real eye-opening to the diversity of natural farming. That you can do it so many different ways, but that there's a certain level of doing it correct. So I learned a ton from him, know how to do it really inexpensively, but I don't recommend it. Master Cho came back in 2010, taught some more classes, worked with my dad here. This is a papaya project that didn't turn out well, because my dad didn't have enough time to drive down to Kapoho every day to like deal with it, because we're living now in Onomea, and it's like 2 hours of commuting just to do this, and then after working a full day to go work some more farming, pick up a sprayer and spray, it's just, he's an old man. So Master Cho came back in 2011, offered a week-long course to the guys that were into it. We learned here, these are the 60 people that got Master Cho's advanced training. So if you're looking for instructors, this would be the set to pull from. Although many of them, even going through the advanced training, still, this stuff there's a precision to this that was not achievable. There's plenty of these 60, we broke into 5 groups. Those 5 groups prepared the inputs. Then the Chos looked at the inputs we provided. You put those 5 jars of whatever we made up. Every single one looked different. And these are supposed to be the guys that knew what's happening, what's going on. And so through this, basically what I learned is how to verify that when you've made something, it's correct. Because I can ferment whatever. I just leave something out, it will rot. And that's fermentation. But the product I get, it's real important to validate. And that's what the Chos were able to teach. That's really what I want to, if you guys have been practicing, that's really what I want to help you with, is to verify. Because you're already doing it, but how do you do it correctly? How do you know that each time it's going to be the one? And he gave us that knowledge. Then I sort of I took this knowledge and I brought it down to downtown Hilo. I had an opportunity to farm down there, so I did. And in the Triangle Garden, we basically, out of this garden, were able to feed 300 plus people. And this is right between Mamo, Kilauea, and Keawe Street, this garden here. And if you remember back in the days, right across the KTA, it used to be just moss, yeah? They used to just herbicide, spray moss.
It shows in the upper photo there.
Yeah, you can just see the moss hanging out there. And so we were able to take something that was soaked with poisons and turn it into really amazing produce.
Tell the story of the banana.
And eat right on the street. And I don't know, maybe there's a story about the banana that I'm unaware of.
We had bananas in like 7 months or something. We planted one KP there, and in 7 months we had a wrap.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the other thing. The growth was extremely prolific there. And so then I decided to plant up Kamehameha Avenue. And so we took from what looked like this, Chico had started to put in some flowers and things, and I thought, hey, why not occupy the streets with Kalo? Because he's our older brother, he can stand on the street for us. We can go take our hands and put them to productive use, and then come back and enjoy harvest with him. And so now Hilo has Kalo planted in it. We did the natural farming. The only reason I was able to do this project is I didn't get paid a single dime to do this. In fact, it cost me a little bit. But the only reason I was able to do it is because it cost me a little bit. Had I had to shell out thousands of dollars, there's no way this project would have happened. It cost me probably less than $40 to do this whole thing. I got a lot of good friends that came there. The cost is probably larger than that for all their transportation and everything. But point being that for not much, we can beautify it. It probably costs the same amount as the poison and the labor for the guys to spray it as it did for us to put this beautiful stuff there. So in natural farming, we're getting organized. It's been a while. We did have a strategic planning meeting. We even got the blessing of Maisie Hirono here talking about it. This is Representative Donovan Dela Cruz. And I think he was on the Ag Committee then at the time, and he was there at our meeting. We basically outlined a lot of our networks and everything that's going on. And out of that, we came up with four things that needed to be done. One of them was keep everyone in check. The other is communication, organization, learning centers, and research. And those are the things that we identified that we need to do. Those are the people in charge that are kind of working towards this. Right now it's been kind of underground, people just doing what they want, and pushing it forward. Because natural farming, you got the right heart, and you go about it, no matter what you do, you're gonna be in sync with everybody. But this is our vision and mission for natural farming. I thought that was relevant to bring down here since you guys are starting to kind of get a natural farming community together. But these are the things that out of the 40 or so people that were there, that we put all of our ideas out, this is what was condensed out after 3 days of like working with each other. That basically, we want to take care of the earth. We want to focus on families, and using natural farming to improve the world, and the respect that shows through our farming. Like when we do it, it's a representation itself. These are our values and guiding principles. And you'll know sort of, so this is the east-west blend right here. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're bringing in the humility, but also, empowerment and movement and those things. And I'll address a little bit more of these. And you guys all know this is the trend analysis. I mean, this is probably why you're here. It's one of these reasons up here. Of that, population's growing, we need more food, we need healthier food, costs are rising, it's more expensive to do ag every day. We need to get our youth involved, and food safety is always an issue for everybody, especially if you're farming foods, bring into a school or some other type of entity like that. And increasing the use of appropriate technology where we need it, like networking and getting, like a website type thing. Hang on, I gotta go back. I accidentally pushed N. So as you can see, it's gonna get good. It's not already. Okay, so, and there's a little preview of what I'm gonna cover. And so, basically, I'm getting to the good part, to the meat of what I want to talk about of the IMO. I know I've talked about growth, and basically that's what I kind of wanted to share with you. This thing had humble roots, we're just learning ourselves. I'm glad now that I used to go back in the day and talk to people about, IMO and stuff, and people would have no idea. Now people come to me and they ask me questions, and I can tell from the questions that I'm being asked that people need a better understanding. And this lady right here helped me really get a really good understanding for the IMO and for the microbes. She has a whole theory called the soil food web, which is basically that there's a few things in the soil all working together, and it's only when all those work together that then you have naturally abundant produce. And she introduced me to using the microscope. So by using just a small, simple microscope, I can very quickly determine the biology. So before this was a mystery, right? Why is this column on this side doing better than the column on that side? Divided right down the center. You clearly see the difference. And this was my first demonstration. I had used IMO on this side between, there and, there. And now I can go and I can look and I can take that soil, put it under the microscope, and I know why that one is doing better. It's clear that the biology on the right side is healthier, there's more of them. Those 3 layers that I'm talking about, they're functioning on that side, whereas on this left side they're not. And the only difference there was the IMO that I put in. Same wood chips, same everything to that row, just the IMO is different. But now, it's not just a magic thing. I can't just be like, oh look, it works. I can actually see into the biology and say this works. And that's the scientific data that really makes this whole thing more acceptable. And so where I've gone recently with natural farming is I've been working with the keiki. This is Cyrus. He lives up in Kohala. And look how happy he is with all that food. right? And that's what I've been working towards. And so I got a job working at Kelowna All-Day School. And these are my kids here, with that guy. You might recognize him. And they go through and we water the inputs directly. This is some of my kids running through watering our sweet potato patch, and then we got sugarcane, kalo, basils, all that. They go through and they love watering. They love being engaged in the natural farming. They love these things because, you know, it's like potions. They feel like, oh, Harry Potter is going to spread potions. They love turning the IMOs, and I like the fact that when they do it, it's healthier for them. You know, they're going to go, they have less runny nose. They're going to be more, like, thinking more clearly, because it even affects your gut and your thoughts when you start to get this stuff all over you. In working with those kids has been so empowering. They also want to come to school. You know, like, if I tell them no ag, it's like the end of the world. They're like, oh no, you know, like, they love agriculture class. And so, me personally, what I've been up to recently is these 3 projects. This one here on the left is my school garden. Been doing that. This here is my pig pen in its building phase. It's now actually, this pen is full and I actually had 2 pigs love each other in it to make more pigs. This morning, got a picture of them. But I was happy because 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days from now I'll have little pigs. And then my other thing is that down in this picture, you can't see it too well up here, but basically this house is standing alone in a grass field. And my project right now is to take that from being a grass field into being a productive permaculture farm around it, incorporating all these natural farming things. But essentially, last couple of years, I've been building this place, and now it's my time to get in and plant it. So that's what's been keeping me busy. And so I want to go on to a little bit of growth, and I want to just have a little revolutionary talk as we get more in depth to the microbes. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of growth, because that's one of the things I talked about that I was going to talk about today, is that growth and natural farming growing, and isn't that such a great thing? But I want to just always bring up a thing of caution with growth, that it's exponential. So that means that it's not going to just go like that in a smooth line. It's going to go like that and then accelerate up. And it's that part that can be dangerous, because, and I just want to outline it with this concrete example here. And not to say that this is true, not to say this is even going to happen, but this is just something to illustrate that when you're with growth, what happens, okay? So Hawaii Island right now is growing at 24.5%. So I heard 3 people move to the island every day, 1 person leaves. And so whatever that correlates to, it's actually this growth rate. As of 2012, we had 185,000 people. And with a 24.5% growth rate, that means that number doubles every 3 years. So if I have a kid today, in 3 years, there'll be twice as many people on this island, right? In 6 years, there's going to be 4 times as many, you know, approaching 1 million. At 9 years old, this kid, only 9 years of this kid's life, if we continue this growth rate, we're going to have over 1 million people on Hawaii Island. I'm not talking about the state, all who's going to have, if they're growing, we would have 1.4 million people before the kid is 10. So we're going to break 1 million. If you expect that kid, at 21 years old, and we keep doubling every 3 years, there's going to be 24 million people on Hawaii Island. I know you're looking at me like that can't happen, and I truly, it can't. But my point being, and if you're 60 years old, some of you in here might be 60. If that kid lives to be that old, there's going to be 185 billion people, more people than the entire world on Hawaii Island. And so clearly, this isn't true, right? We cannot grow that way. There's no way you stepping on people to step on people. We wouldn't ever get there. But my point being that right now we're growing at 24%. and we expect that growth rate to increase. And this is the way that economics and the policy is being pushed at the level above us, is thinking more growth, more people, more things to get us sustainable, right? So if we push that more growth, and we're 60 years old, 200 billion, 400 billion, how much people, if we're gonna think in those lines of more growth, more paradigm, more of that, how many people are we gonna get here, and what kind of economic policy should we be focusing on as people, as farmers? Because, as farmers, we're the most important people there, because all those people gotta eat. And so that's the issue I want to just bring up, is that I think we need to think of this in different terms. And when we hear growth, we hear these things, we need to be like, okay, what does that really mean? How many people, and what do we really want to see? Another alarming fact to me is this. Average age farmer is 59. And this is in Hawaii, this is in the world. So if you think, oh, it takes me 5 years to learn how to farm, 10 years to learn how to farm, if you're going to learn from one of these guys, they're going to be 70, 80 years old by the time you're kind of like, oh, okay, I understand. I've been farming for a couple years, I really understand what I'm doing now. These guys are going to be old, and that if we don't start today to get lots of young people in there, we wait another 10 years, they're going to be 69. We wait another 20 years, they're going to be, it's so. I feel an urgency to get into farming because of this number alone. And also, how the old people are farming today? They're doing it with diesel power. It's not old guys. The guy that's 59 is not out there picking up 400 pounds and walking. No, he's picking it up with his front end loader. He's loading onto the truck, driving the truck when he's unloading it, dropping it. This. So all of our manpower right now is being exported off to diesel power, and diesel is just going up. Prices going up, everything going up. Unless we got coconut fuel to run our things, or some kind of soldier flies to run our tractors and stuff. That if we continue to go with the paradigm of bigger, more tractors, one guy doing more land, you're just gonna pay more for it. That's the clearly obvious thing. And sometimes, I feel like this. That the industry right now is going to collapse. That if we keep going, it's pushing out the climate from underneath us. The food supply, it all hinges on that, and it's being pushed out. And I don't always want to do that, but I wrote this rant down for you guys. I was writing this this presentation up, and I was folding my laundry, and I was thinking to myself, man, like, I don't even want this shirt because I know the person, it was sown on land that the cotton was, not healthy for the land, used pesticides that all washed into the ocean. Then the dude that sewed it, isn't buying shirts like the way I can. I can't go pick up a 10-pack of shirts for only 15 minutes worth of work. He worked all his day and he had barely one shirt. And then it's being shipped to me in a truck. It's like burning up all the fossil fuels and coming across the world to me. And then the energy that's being fueled that truck, it's at gunpoint these days. You take that stuff, and then the money that I use to spend it is being diluted on a level that I can't even talk about. I give you $1, that's cool, but when a dude prints 10 trillion, it changes things. And so without those systems, these things irritate me. When I pick up the shirt, and it's like, God, I just want a shirt from somebody here that's like, oh, I made you this hemp shirt. Oh, I made this topless shirt. And I'd run it, and I'd run a model and everything. I'd just get into it. But this, but changing to this reality, and I ask, if I can't put on my pants and feel good about it today, when are we going to change that to go? Tomorrow, next week, when? So it's my rant here. And I also want to talk about this because my dad is the guy pretty much in charge of the pro-GMO thing. So me being the natural farmer, the son, the rebel coming here, it's interesting. But what I want to bring up with GMO is basically that people, we're not against the GMO, right? We are against it, but only a very small minority are really, really, really against it. And they get everybody to come out. You know, it's like there wouldn't be a march in Hilo if it weren't for those small group of many people that get everybody to come out, right? Because most people, they're just going, like, it's not even in their mindset to think that. But the farmers, they're not the GMO to poison us all. They're doing it because of the economics and the way this whole system comes up. And, you know, it may have to do with my rant before that of talking all those things. But the bottom line is that farmers today feel like they have to do this. Because the average farm size, and this is America, it's not Hawaii, but is 449 acres. So how are you going to go out on 449 acres and do it without the GMO, without the Roundup Ready? You're going to go out weed 449 acres? Or are you going to drive your truck down, spray the Roundup Ready and be like, done with that, moving on. You know, I got other things to do in my farm. And so we have the farms that are 449 acres, makes it real hard to get that organic stuff going. And I truly believe that people are against the GMO because we're against industrial farming. We're against the practices that this is what we think of when we think of a farm in our head, yeah? Nice country thing with gardens and everything. But you'll notice this is digital, yeah? This came out of a video game. And this is what we think of. You know, you go on Facebook, you play Farmville, you're like, oh yeah, pigs, chickens, you know, it's like it's all in your head, this is what you're thinking it's like. But the true reality, this is where your chicken comes from. This is what farming really is. And I think that when we speak out about the GMO, actually what we speak out about is against this. Because who wants to eat an animal that's been living in its poop and been, you know, just, I'm not like super stoked, like, yeah, I'm gonna go get down on some of that, you know, it's like, you know. So this is what we're really against. And so people right now are kind of waking up to what's in the food. And the GMO is kind of the hot topic for that, yeah? But the answer is that the organic provides way more for us than the conventional. That even we go with this method, we got the 1,000 chickens in there type thing. At the end of the day, the nutrition doesn't add up. That if you start studying these things and you look at organic production, the nutritional value of this thing, like this snap beans, calcium, 40 compared to 15. That when you start to farm in these organic and other methods, we're not doing 449 acres, you can really bring the nutrition back up. And that's what you really want. When you eat the chicken, I mean, it's good that it's cheap, but it's also good that if you eat it, you don't gotta go to the doctor, you know, like. And so it's this nutrition that I think is turning the tides, and this is what people are becoming more and more aware of, and this is what is pushing this to go to natural farming. This is why people are interested in it. This is why you guys learn how to do this. Trend setting. Everyone's gonna look at you and be envious and be like, oh, why are these guys so healthy? Why are they growing such good food? Oh, this tastes so good. And that's how. And my point is that the tide is turning right now. You know, I want to go into the McDonald's and get Uncle's cow, Auntie's lettuce, my special sauce, on a bun that's entirely made up of kind local food. Like that's what I want. You know, I really do. And I want to feel good about the things that we have in society, the things that we're pushing forward. And I want economics that let me live that way. And to me, that's kind of freedom, yeah? That's what I want. And it's happening. I'm sure, I think there's some other efforts even going on this side. But this, I know is happening in Hilo, where this is the Sugarcane Cafe. And they serve cassava fritters and like everything you get there is straight from the farm, besides maybe the fuel they use to cook it. But, and look, I mean, to me that looks good. I don't know if you guys are into sprouts or whatever, but I'm into that. I eat that. The cane juice, that stuff keeps me alive. I got some right here. You know, every day, just drinking that stuff. They got all kinds of good food, and so it's shifting that way.
Sure, there's not IMOs in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't want to be complicit in this, man. This is the tar sands up in Canada, and I don't want to be and tell my grandchildren, oh yeah, you know, like I use the products that came out of this. You know, that's not my deal. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be complicit in this either. This is a picture of Syria right now. You know, like all this stuff is going around in the world, and it's driven by this whole economics model that I don't want to be complicit in. That's why I want to be a farmer here, live my parents' dreams. And so right now I'm even questioning what I'm doing on my farm. Okay, so I just planted an orchard, but lately the past maybe 2 weeks or so, I've been super conventional in terms of been running that tractor almost every day. And a lot of stuff is getting done. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of stuff is getting done. But I have this conflict in my head, you know, it's like, right, I got all this done, but at what cost? You know, how much people were involved negatively in the you know, getting diesel here type thing, and that still hits me, and I'm still struggling with that. And the reason that is because this guy is one of the most legendary natural farmers. If you've never heard of him, his name is Masanobu Fukuoka. He's out of Japan, and his philosophy on natural farming is do nothing. Which, let me tell you, he did not do nothing. He did planning. But he's not trying to force something to do something. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get more rice by juicing it with this. It's like, he's like, I'm going to get more rice because I'm mellow and I can wait for the rice. And so he had the other approach. And you know, my dad kind of gets on me because he comes and he sees me. He's like, oh, you know, what do you do today? And I'm like, oh, watch the grass grow. And he's like, that's not good enough. You know, and so there's a balance between the natural farming and what you got. This other guy, his name's Rudolf Steiner. He's another natural farmer from back in the day. He has a bit different methods. It's called biodynamic. You may have heard of it. You take cow dung, put it in a horn, buried under the ground, you get an EM prep. When I first heard that, I thought, man, this guy is crazy. You're going to bury poop in the ground and then, you know, get it. But the more and more I study the natural farming through CHO, the microscope, all this, I'm like, God, this guy isn't that far off. Really what he's up to is some good things. It may seem like voodoo magic, but it works. So I learned, you know, some from Rudolf Steiner and biodynamic. But my main guy I learned from is Master CHO. And this is him teaching the advanced seminar. And he has a comprehensive farming system. So every, you know, like, you want to know how to treat a seedling, he'll tell you. You want to know how to transplant a tree, he'll tell you. You want to know how to keep weeds off, he'll tell you. So it's comprehensive. It has everything kind of built into it. It's a hybrid of a lot of different things. It's internationally recognized, so by the ISO, which is the International Standards Organization, which the rest of the world really cares about, but here not so much. It's clearly proven commercial success in Korea and also around the world. The cool thing is it rejuvenates the earth as you do it. Of all the farming methods, you know, it gets better every year. You have to do less. It's taking root here in Hawaii. We've been bringing it east to west, and with it we can save the whales. And why do people care? Why would everyone care about Master CHO? Because of this. Pigs and chickens with no smell and no cleaning. And this is the thing that sells it to everybody. You tell a farmer, oh, I'll get you more yields, they'll blow you off. But you bring someone over to your farm and you say, do you smell anything? And if you've ever been in a pig farm and you come and you see one of these and you don't smell anything, you're like, how did you do that? And you want to know. And so that's what's really been bringing it along is this no smell, no clean. And it's not hard to do. This is the system right here. You, a plastic liner, some charcoal, some logs, some green waste, and a pig. And that system right there, when inoculated with the IMO, will compost and eat up all your waste right on the floor. And it's going to digest it all right there. There's not going to be any smell coming off, except for right when the pig is urinating. You can slightly get the waft as it's coming through the wind. As soon as it's done, though, no smell. And the way it's working, the way all that works, as I said, you gotta inoculate it with the right microorganism. It's this here. This is a beneficial fungus. And this is the whole key. So all this natural farming is right here, this beneficial fungus. I can tell this one's beneficial because of its width. That if you look in that one of these little dots here is a if you look on the slide for the smallest one, like maybe that one, small dot, that's 1 micrometer across. And if you take that and you line it up here and you say 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, about 4 of those fit across, so 4 micrometers wide on this fungus. If it's greater than 3.5 micrometers wide, it's going to be a beneficial fungus. So quickly with the microscope, I'm able to look at any sample, put it under the microscope, say how much beneficial fungus do I have, and now what's their width. And when I see that they're greater than 3.5 micrometers, I know the stuff I'm working with is good. And this takes it from, you know, magic snake oil selling you to the, when I get this in my IMO pile and I put it out, I guarantee results. It's all about this beneficial fungus. This is what's making the whole pig pen, it's keeping the aeration going. There's also bacteria and it's also diversity working together, but those that doesn't, you would have beneficial fungus if that was happening. So this is an indicator. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm doing. This is the whole meat of what I'm trying to do is this beneficial fungus. So there's a process to make this beneficial fungus right at home. This is the classic IMO on the rice. So you cook the rice, not as much water as rice in there. You fill your thing up 2/3 full. We use Lauhala baskets. You can use wood baskets. Cover that thing. You put it out where under a nice tree with lots of humus under there, lots of leaf litter collected. And in 3 days, you'll pull that off and you should have these white spiderweb wispy things on the top. If you don't, odds are it didn't work. So maybe your moisture wasn't right, maybe the temperature. There's hundreds of reasons why it may have not have worked, so you could try again. But you collect this beneficial fungus right from the forest. So these guys are already native to where you're getting it from, your farm. Then you mix it with sugar. You know, she has some sugar on her hand. She's been mixing the IMO together. The sugar helps to keep it in a stable form. And then it's mixed into a carbohydrate like mill run is what we're using here. And like I said, this process is a 5-step process of making IMO. So you know, why don't you just go use the IMO 1 out in your field? You know, I collected it, I got the IMO 1, why don't I use it? Because they got the power of infants. So you collected these infants that are these indigenous microorganisms that are like the good stuff, but they're not ready yet. They're just little kids. So you take them and you mix them in with sugar, and you get them up to the 2nd step, right? And now you send them to elementary school. So they're starting to be, you know, tuned by the man and getting, you know, they know how to stand in line and stuff and whatever else you learn in elementary school. And they're stable in that form. Then you're bulking them up with carbs and nutrients. So this is the mill-on process. And to do all this, down here, I think you really guys need to do a hands-on, which it's not in the class series, but one of the series that I would like to do is the microscope and this IMO process with you guys, because that's the huge thing to learn. Is that, and so in this step, you know, in the 3rd stage, you mix them in with some carbohydrates. That enables them to grow. It's just like eating a bunch of bread. You know, they're going to get strong and big. It's like they went to high school. Then you mix the soil in. The soil has a bunch of nutrients in there, and also different nematodes and other higher order life forms that may be in there. So not just the bacteria and fungus, but also these higher order life forms that live in the soil. So you mix the soil and they get nutrients. They also get these other life forms in there. and that's like you sent them to college. And then if you take 10% of that, and then you make a normal compost, like how the correct CN ratio type compost, and you mix in 10% of the IMO4 and some manure and again the nutrients, it's like you took these guys that were native here. So like imagine we took one of you guys out of this class and we sent you to Sirius, you know, out in Orionville or something. And you went there and you learned for like 2,000 years. And then you came back to Earth. You would look just like us, because you're from here. But now you have this knowledge that enables you to drink water out of the air. You see all the people on Earth, you know, putting pipes in the ground and drinking with cups and stuff, and you're like, dude, what are you doing, man? I'm serious. We just drink water out of the air. And this guy can teach everyone in this room how. So I don't have to have a whole lot of these guys that can drink water out of the air. I just have to have one to go here and teach everybody. So by taking it all the way up to this IMO 5 stage, you take these guys that look just like us and you give them this super training, and then they come back and they're able to teach everyone else. So there's all these microbes in your soil. These little bit of leaders get everyone else moving in the right direction. They're like, come on guys, let's go. Let's build this bridge. Let's get these water lines going, you know. And so that's why this technology is so potent, because I don't have to go dump 10 tons of it, because the tree isn't going to eat all the stuff I made. The stuff I made is going to go out to its natural environment and be like, okay, we need that there, this there, that there, that there. They're going to bring it. So I don't have to dump it all. It's there already. I just have to get the right guys in there to kind of get everyone else going.
So, what prevents rodents or something else from eating that before you can use it? You cover it up?
Rat traps. No. So you can put a metal cage over it. You can also do it in a inside. Like if you wanted to do it on your garage floor inside, if you're gonna do it on cement, put down some dirt before you start it, because having the IMO right on the cement's not good. It'll probably leave a mean stain anyway. But you can do this indoors. And also I found that this process, like right now I'm doing it up in my chicken pen, right next to them, and I just put a sheet over it and put some shovels down on it so that the chickens can't get the sheet off the scratch. But yeah, and so essentially what I'm trying to do with this whole 3-stage process, or with the 5-stage IMO, is I'm trying to restore these 3 tiers of the soil food web. And this is what I talked about kind of earlier with Elaine, but essentially we start with bacteria. These are everywhere, all the time. Then we progress to getting good fungus. Once the good fungus are in there, they kind of, like the bacteria are kind of like the materials. Then the fungus come in and take those materials and turn them into a building like this. And once you have a building like this, then the 3rd tier comes in, which is more like us, the protozoa and nematodes. And we're the people inside this building now. So we got the bacteria that's the material, got the fungus that built this structure, and now we got us that are the protozoa in here hanging out. And so this is the same thing that you want to have happen in your soil. You want to get these 3 layers, or 3 levels of things working and cooperating and cycling properly, so that, you know, it's not just like we built a bunch of these buildings and there's no one to come inside, or we only built half of it, and, you know, you got to get these 3 layers established. This is why sometimes when using natural farming, it may take up to 3 years to get your soil to a point where you don't have to be as meticulous in caring for it. It's because you got to get these 3 layers established. I'm thinking there may be shortcuts to getting this established within a year, even shorter. Understanding this, understanding the microbes, being able to look and see these things, because I can see them with a microscope, I can then tune what I'm feeding it to make this progression happen even faster. So this is another super, super, super key for farming. And this may be the secret to a lot of it, is that basically what I'm proposing here is that
the plants that grow are a relationship to what biology is present. So if we start here on the left side here, we only have 10 bacteria and 0 fungus. So with 10 bacteria and 0 fungus, what's going to want to grow? And if you also look, there's, here's the soil profile. So there's not much soil. It's just basically rock. What's going to want to grow? It's the pioneer plants. It's these things that we typically consider weeds. It's going to be your Spanish needle. It's going to be the hono grass. It's going to be the California grass. It's going to be the Pili Miley, or Pili Miley. It's going to be all these things that we consider weeds, yeah, that are taking our plants over. And as you progress this way, so if I go into a perennial grass field that's growing real healthy and I soil sample, I'm going to find 500 bacteria to 250 fungus. So I'll find more fungus, and that's just naturally what I'll find in an undisturbed place. And as we go further up this scale, this is where we want to be, right here. Basically equal parts, that if I took the microscope and I look and there's a way to calculate how much the fungus, because it's not by, it's by mass. So equal parts by mass that I'm looking at. And it's easy to determine whether you're there, but this is essentially where we want to be. And right now we're here, yeah? And that's why anytime you go out and you put your plant, all of a sudden what comes right around your plant?
Weeds.
Weeds, yeah, we don't like those. And so then we end up, spraying something on it and going back. And I got a really good insight yesterday that Dan, who's also an instructor, has been using this same guide as kind of a way to teach people this. And his insight that I got was basically that every time you use like Roundup or like chemical fertilizer, you're going to go from wherever you are, even if you're up here, you're going to go back here to 0. Always. Anytime you poison the ground like that and kill it, you're killing the biology, you're going to go straight back here. So, you look at a problem, you think, oh man, I'll just shoot it with some Roundup. And you may be out here, you may be in this part, you already got some fungus growing, you shoot it with Roundup, boom, you're back to 0. And so it's this cycle right here that we kind of got to break through. And this is what also makes it slightly difficult for people to transition from being already conventional to natural farming, is that they think, well, I'll do mostly natural farming, but I'll just spray Roundup here and there, and way less than they were before. But the thing, you're always being reset. And so if you expect your system to take off and to really work, you gotta go all the way.
How did you purify the soil before you started planting in Hilo? Or did you?
So essentially, what I did in Hilo is there's no. I'm actually going to get to the detoxification. So I'll take that in a second. So is everyone clear with this? Because this is the biggest concept I'm trying to get across. It's about this beneficial fungus being there. It's one of your best indicators. This is an easy way to look, to see. It's a great way to get scientific data if you're working with anybody to prove that this system works, even for yourself, to say, what I do is I'm making a compost, like an IMO number 5. It's all good. I mix my microbes in and stuff. I'm putting it under the microscope first to see if I meet these requirements. Do I have equal parts of bacteria to fungus before I go put it out in my field? Did my input, my prep, work properly before I go put it out? And to me, labor savings, that's pretty crucial. So yeah, it's all about equal parts of fungus to bacteria, and the veggies will naturally thrive. That's what wants to sprout in that environment. Like if you put out a bunch of grass seeds and also a bunch of veggie seeds, the veggie seeds are going to take off first in an equal relationship like this. You're not going to have the weed pressure. Yeah, no weeds is what I try to claim. And to be perfectly honest, I still haven't mastered this. I still haven't proved that this works. It's way trickier than you think. But this is the key. This is what ultimately will work out. It's just me figuring out how to take, I got this good biology, how do I now get it into the field and have that good biology translate out there and start taking off and living? And it's that translation. So my other, beside, like, in a more positive way, my other reason for natural farming is this: the nutrient dense food. So, let the food be your medicine, and medicine be your food, right? That's what we used to do back in the day, and it seemed to work. But why isn't that the case today? And just like I showed you with that table that compared the conventional to organic, that in this case, back in 1913, just 100 years ago, you could eat 1 apple a day and you would get, this much nutrition. And today, to get that same nutrition, you'd have to eat 30 apples. So what one used to contain in terms of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and this is true for every food, not just apples, but you'd have to eat 30 of them, and you cannot fit 30 of them in your stomach. And then that's only your apple. You didn't move on to the next thing, And so this is when the nutrients are continually leached out and the microbes are killed. This is what happens. And it's only by restoring this operating soil food web, again, where you got the bacteria in there, they get the fungus, there's the bacteria, they get the fungus in there, they get this nematodes, and they get these 3 stages of the soil food web rolling again. And that's the way to restore the nutrition. Why that root is here, lilikoi juice is here. It's like, man, I really want some lilikoi juice. But it's too far, right? But a beneficial fungus comes and bridges this gap between and says, man, I see you really want this lilikoi juice. How about you give me a little bit of sugar and I'll give you this lilikoi juice. And so the plant is making sugar from photosynthesis up here. It's making sugar from the sun, direct new energy. It's like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of this sugar I made because I got plenty, it's a sunny day, And boom, gives it to the fungus. The fungus is like, thank you. It transports then the lilikoi juice up. Perhaps it needed that lilikoi juice to do whatever, make more fruits. But that's how it works. And that's why this thing is able to bring more nutrition. Because the plant roots are small. The fungus, the beneficial fungus, can run for hundreds of miles in the ground. Like in a handful of soil, there can be hundreds of miles of this stuff. And that's what connects the difference. That's why this puts more nutrition in there. It can bring it over, it trades sugar for nutrition. Here's to address the toxicity. And this is another thing that we end up with is toxins, right? But what is a toxin? It's something that's imbalanced. So you look at, why is uranium, like a radioactive element, dangerous? It's because it's unbalanced. That if it was bound with a bunch of boron on top, it's going to soak up all those extra neutrons that are leaving, and it's not going to be dangerous anymore. So if you find the component from the yin to the yang and you balance them, in this case uranium and boron, you mix them together, you're no longer going to have a toxin. You could have a picnic right there and it wouldn't affect you. But it was a toxin before that. So my point being that in our soils, what are toxins? Say I got too much nitrogen in the soil. That's a toxin because the plant's like, I only need 4 parts per million. And then we got 100 parts per million. The plant's like, it's too much. It's salty and it cannot take it. And so it considers what we think, oh, the plant needs more nitrogen. We put nitrogen. We've actually toxified the environment by trying to over push it into there. And so this is, this here, any one of these things here, which one is out of balance? It's hard to tell, and that's why the microbes can help us. Because the microbes know, oh, that guy needed that much more, that one needed that much more, and they balance this out. And when they take these things that were now extreme and they balance them out, it's the default of a plant and of nature is that in a non-toxic environment, it's going to grow, be more productive, reproduce, and expand on its complexity. Like that's just the nature of life, is to get more and more and more complex. It came from simple, algae to get more and more complex. And so by detoxifying, the natural thing for your plant is to be healthy. So you don't have to juice it and give it, you just got to balance out the toxins. and the plant is then going to want to thrive. And the cool thing about natural farming is that the baseline also fluctuates in the system. So that, I thought maybe this is all balanced out, it's non-toxic, but now this is, I used to expect the human to get 6 feet tall, but now he's been eating choke puppy that's been naturally farmed. Now the guy's 10 feet tall. So you can take this baseline and we thought, humans only get 6 feet tall, and you can, in a non-toxic environment, you can go and find even higher potentials that you didn't even know were possible to reach before this. So how do we get there to non-toxic things? And my solution is basically to use indigenous microorganisms to restore the soil, to use sugar-based and vinegar-based products to spray directly onto our plants, so we're not using petrochemical derived things that eliminate our biology. And I think the other key is to get more farmers in there, because the more people on the land, the more people actively rejuvenating the land, it's exponential. It's going to fall on itself and get there. And since we got a little extra, I don't know what's going on this actually. Maybe it's done.
45 minutes to me.
Okay. So I guess I talked longer than I wanted to, but I want to go just over the other tools of the natural farmer just quickly, just to show you kind of what's up. And I picked this guy because this is kind of where we're at today, but we don't need to be there. And these are the 7 tools that basically you've maybe heard of these, and all these acronyms here. And this is the Korean natural farming acronym list of letters and things, which they all have meaning. And the meaning I tried to encapsulate in this bubbles, which is this translates to food, this translates to aid workers, fuel, across that way. And then this here is the period of when you'd want to use these things. And this is the point where natural farming can maybe sound overwhelming. You mean I gotta make 7 of these things to start? And the answer is no, you don't. You may not, but it helps, and you're gonna get better, and you're gonna move from Gil Karangan with a machete and a bucket towards Cho, which is the super nice hollow growing, doing this thing. But those are the 7 tools, and just quickly, kind of the plant food is made by, you take plants, the growing tips of them, you cut them off in the morning when they're full of growth nutrition, you ferment them with sugar. That stuff that then results is some of the most nutritious stuff in the universe, because it came directly across the cell wall. Most of the junk was left inside, just the good stuff came into your liquid. You're then able to spray this directly onto the plant. Because it came out of the plant without heat and without mechanical force, the plant that you spray it on is going to readily accept it back in. So it came out, you got it, now you take it to the plant you want to grow, you spray it back on, it goes right back in. And this essentially eliminates all need for fertilizer. This right here, the running plant juice. It's going to take the enzymes, the auxins, the hormones, everything, like super scientific terms, and it has them, and it's going to put them back into your plant. The effective microorganism, the LAB, this is another tool we use. It's a set of microorganisms just like the IMO is, except for this one is extremely powerful and can live without oxygen. Majority of the things we're working with here in natural farming need oxygen to breathe, just like we do. But when you got super compacted soil or rock that's not letting air go through, you put this guy on, he goes in there, he digs a hole, and then now the guys that like oxygen can get air from the tunnel that he dug, and they can start to penetrate. So this is a microbe to help you get your other microbes going. If you continually use this guy, he's so powerful, he'll eat off the nutrition fast, faster than it'll go to your plant. So you want to use them to get your plant in the ground and going, and then you want to switch to IMO, being your main microbe of choice. This guy is a really good get you going. The fish amino acid, this is a fish-based leaf growth promoter made from fish and sugar combined. the juice that comes out of that stuff, causes the plant to grow solar panels. So you want it to grow a leaf, you want it to get more energy that way, you apply this. Counter to that, if you want your plant now to put out fruits, you take this, which is made from calcium. So from the eggshells, or from opihi, or from any other calcium source like that. It's been taken with the vinegar and made into a water-soluble form, which you can get calcium tablets like at the health food store and stuff. And typically those are calcium carbonate, which will not absorb into your body. The vinegar removes the carbonate part of it and just leaves the calcium part of it, and that is now super readily available to your body and to plants. The cool thing about this is that you can apply it to your plant and have it take effect almost immediately. Any other type of calcium or dolomite type things to the soap that you apply to your plants take weeks to, you apply them to the soil, it takes weeks to take over. This is immediate. Within an hour, you can see a difference. They also make one out of, very similar, but this is out of charred bones to make up phosphorus. Phosphorus is good for growing flowers, good for growing roots. So it's really good when your plant is going from growing to now fruiting. This is kind of the thing that helps it transition through that flower period and that changeover. The medicine, it's known as Oriental Herbal Nutrient, OHN. This stuff is basically a tincture of really strong medicine. This thing, the cool thing about it is, as a medicine, you can use it all the time. You can use it daily on your plants. It's not going to build up resistance. Some medicines we use, you get a resistance, you get side effects. This has no side effects besides it's going to make your digestion a bit hotter and you're going to feel more energized. I haven't been sick for 5 years now. Anytime I feel sore throat, any kind of thing like that going on, I take a little bit of this, not even less than an ounce type thing. Drink a little bit of that. If I don't feel better, take a little bit more. If I don't feel better, I've never gotten to that point. Always after 2 doses of this stuff, I felt better. I haven't been sick for like 5 years, or 4 or 5 years, I don't know, long time. Actually, the last time I did get sick was when I went to Missouri and didn't have any of this, and got sick there. So, the other thing, especially out here, plenty of rock, yeah. Ocean water. I was just reading. You look up the Wikipedia thing on pillow lava or basalt or whatever our lava is, and they actually have an article, a blurb, paragraph in there that says, you put the seawater on, the microorganisms are actually using the seawater with this prehistoric action to break the iron in the rock and use that as an energy source. So if you're going to provide energy to your microorganisms and you want to power them up here, especially in the rock, put a little seawater, dilute it 1 to 30, and you won't have any problem with salting your plants or anything like that. Their blood is salty just like our blood is salty, on a small percentage. And so it'll help break down the lava rock way faster. The other thing is banana vinegar, really easy to make. It's one of the most important things. If you look at Master Cho's recipes, it's in every single one. Reason being, this thing helps the absorption of other things. So any other mineral you have, it's going to absorb it faster. It's going to do it better. It also has an effect of flipping the polarity, that you take it as acidic. The vinegar is acidic. But when you metabolize it, your body digests it, it goes alkaline. And this is the most important thing for purifying your body, is to go from an acidic to an alkaline state. And that flip happening this way, that if you just take, if you do it another way, like you drink base water or something, it flips. It doesn't work this way. It's as it's metabolized and as you digest it that it flips, that it helps purify you. My dad used to get meantime cramps and not drink water very well. Like, you drink it, but then you just go pee it out, and didn't retain it very well. He started putting a little bit of brown rice vinegar in his water, and now he said, he used to have plenty of wrinkles. Now he's less wrinkly. He looks more hydrated. He has more energy. He says he doesn't pee as much with the thing. So it's helping his body get that change, and it's really working well for him. And to how to use these 7, this is something that has to be gone into in depth. But basically, there's three ways we're using it. One way is to create a soil prep. So that's when I'm putting my IMO out. I feed them all these 7 nutrients in the correct proportion, and it really helps them go into the ground, take over, do their thing. The other way is a type 2 spray when I want my plant to grow leaves. Another is a type 3 spray when I want my plant to grow fruits. And by alternating the type 2 and type 3 in the correct way, which this is a whole class, the CGMF slide is 89 slides, which is what this is, just for this topic. And so by alternating it properly and understanding that, you can dictate exactly what you want. You can harvest quicker than most people. You can grow fruits, that are unreasonable in size, like just blow people away if you just keep dosing it with the right thing. And you're really flexible on that. I've also been making a fair amount of compost tea. I take the litter from my pig pen, brew it up, spray that out as microbes. I've also recently built this, which is the compost tea brewer that drops the water a foot onto rocks or crystals first. And that falling and then hitting helps to energize the water and helps these nutrients colloidalize in the water, which means that their particles are small enough that then the plant can uptake them much easier when I'm running them through a system like this. And also has tons of oxygen in there. And this is just my prediction that the first country or people to really embrace natural farming are kind of going to dominate the next 200 years of world history. And committed to teaching teachers. Kind of made that promise to Master Cho. Been leading sort of the natural farming organization as like a public front of it. There's plenty of people running it from the background. And so that's what I'm up to here. And this is my last slide here. So basically what we're trying to do and what I want to help you guys with, especially down here, is to get these certifications going. That like getting you teaching those 7 basic inputs and then making sure that you can make it and that it's correct. So when you go to your farm, you know you're using the right good stuff, because you can make it however. Literally, there's so much variables in it. But knowing what you know, this is the class that I'd like to do down here next. Maybe is this IMO and soil biology, because this one goes into in depth of what is the IMO, how do you go through the process, and then how do you identify it back with a microscope to say, I got this. The plant nutrient cycling, it's how to mix those 7 inputs, there's even more than 7, those are the 7 basic. But how to mix those properly, how to get, my plants looks yellow, what do I do? And that would be answered in this type of certification, this type of class here. Animal husbandry, how to ferment the food for your animals, how to build the pen correctly, and how, like, if your animal gets sick, what to give it. In these, just like I said, I take it for myself to heal myself. Same thing for the animal. And then finally, the last one would be like a teacher training type thing. And whoever here is like super high speed and wants to be like going out and spreading that to more people, I'd really like to work with you to be able to do that. And so with these 5, these are coming down the pipeline. Hopefully we'll have these. We have a curriculum written out to try to de-English this. And so there's learning materials coming out that way. And so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so if anybody, I'll go back to this slide here. If you see down at the bottom right here, it says naturalfarminghawaii.net. Can everyone read that and see? It's pretty easy. Just naturalfarminghawaii.net. That's the website that I run. This talk will be up there, plus I just audio recorded it, so I'll put the audio plus the slides. If you wanna hear this again, you wanna share it with your friends, you wanna do that, great. Um, and, yeah. Yeah.
I thank you all for coming. This is the first of 6 seminars that will be happening once a month. Hope you guys understand why this project was developed. Do you remember what Drake said? We were looking for what? Demonstration programs. We were looking for farmers to implement this thing. But the main reason why this whole program came about was the meeting of Katie, Susie, Amanda, and the people of California. Why? We exist to see it. When I talked to Billy Kinoy, I said, really, you just sent a document that you guys will be the sister city. You gonna go over to Korea, you gonna visit Ozark County. When you bring them back, what city you gonna take them? What city got 100% of the producers to the natural? That's where this project started. Because there's that indigenous school on here. We signed up 7 families out in California. The California people were already set up with a so-called all the way up open market on Wednesday. They already started. Plus, they had the ecotourism of taking the tourists out to the lava. That's when Billy Kinoy, Jeff Melrose, because this project was actually supposed to be done in Ohio. But after we visited the farm in Ohio, we said, they're not ready, let's go check the people out in California. We visited the school, Jeff says, oh, the school is great, that'll be great. Then individually, he went up to the 7 families. And after he met with the 7 families, he said, wait, this is it. We'll give you guys some seed money, see how it works. We'll have the workshops to get the people established. If it didn't work, we come back see you. We give you the money. So the objective is to get California way as the sister city to go on. It starts right here today. So the first one. CJNet has bought in. We got one of our better teachers already telling me they're teaching my classes. Kim Chang is willing to help with the input making. Mikey, Ethan, Sam, Timo, they already bought in. They already started clearing the land to put the plants and the animals on the ground to keep it good. Uncle Henry is a living treasure, a tarot in the state. He's one of your teachers. He will teach you guys how to plant Iwala and tarot, the ancient one. We could actually stop the model of it today. We have him talk, we talked about all the different varieties, how we got established, his life story in himself. And from here, he will take his woolies outside to start the model for the school. But he also said that he will give all the people in California his woolies to get started. This guy get plenty of woolies in his house, show all kinds. And he can tell you whether it's 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. Careful. If you upland, you plant this one. If you down the ocean, you plant this one. So this is a very important person. Next speaker is, what we try to do is tie the Hawaiian culture with natural farming. The next speaker coming in on the 23rd next month is Khalid Biluhiba. She is the world expert on the Hawaiian moon calendar. So she will match the moon calendar, what Drake was educating us on the introduction of natural farming. It's not put together. So this thing is actually gonna revolutionize what we do here in Kalapana. Kalapana is the Gozan County in Korea. The Lake Kenoi needs this sister city relationship. And that's the reason why they're Islamic project. Because they know when the people from Korea start coming in, they're gonna start showing up someplace very similar to Gozan. And I think Kalapana's got it. Because I've been to Gozan 2 or 3 times. And they attract people to Gozan because they got dinosaur bones. So the tourists come in, you go to the dinosaur museum, and you learn about natural farming because all the plants on the area is all natural farming. All the restaurants that they serve, it's all for food from natural farming. We can do the same thing in Kaimu. Kaimu has already got it established. You got the restaurants going in over there already. You get the agritourism going already, the open house and the agricultural tourists. And they got the 7 families who are all related buying to do this project. We've already got a couple of farmers out there already established. Jackie, Cavity are already out here. And we also got a permaculture guy who's already established out here that's also doing natural farming. So the families are starting to grow it out. So our ultimate goal is there. It's just up to people networking, working with each other. All your friends come to these workshops because we can start building and building, building to the point that Kalapana will teach the rest of Hawaii how to become self-sufficient. That's my ultimate goal. And hooking up with the families out there, the heart is in the right position, and they want to do it. You know, because they know that the other way they were losing money, so they're going to try it. So, yes.
Can you bring Drake back for the?
Drake is going to be a mainstay over here. Basically, him and Susie kind of hooked up a deal. I get on deal with Keiki, so I've stopped over here too. But Kim Chang is willing to come in here. We also got Ali coming in to teach classes from now Hawai'i. So everything is falling into place. The hub will be right here at the school, because the school is going to be like the learning center, what Drake was talking about, the learning center. The farms will be in Kaimu, Kalapana area. And like I was talking to Atikutsi, and Atikutsi, I go to you guys Wednesday, whole the thing is great, you know. She says, yeah. I said, generates a lot of money for you guys. A little bit. I said, suppose we get all the families going and get the farmers going. We got a certified kitchen on there already, right? She said, yeah. Now you go one table at a time. This one from Hilo, you know, come no more. You stick on color on the family running that table. Next one, you run that table, you run that table. Till eventually, everything at that so-called farmers market is on family from Kalapana. So the money stayed exactly in Kalapana. No go out. See what I'm saying? So what we're trying to do is develop self-sufficiency with this side of life. And we can do it. It's just a matter of people working together. Because you guys are already starting to do it. There's a bunch of different groups coming together. We need to slam them all together, concentrate right here. You know, don't go, we do another workshop over there, and do another workshop. And these people coming from California, just do everything right here. There are plenty enough people for teach right here in California. Yeah. You don't have to go outside and people out of area. It's just a matter, I say within a year, the county will put down something a little bit more than what they give us to just seed money to just get us. Yes.
Who will be able to help out at the farm in Kaimu? The community?
It's a community-based thing. We run with the families. the families will be actually doing work days to get established, yeah. And we taking the whole gamut, and not only chickens, pigs, but we also get a ranch involved. So we're gonna teach you guys how to do ranching too, from moving cows to actually putting up fence. Be the whole thing, you know. Getting the pastures up to the point where you're rotating your pastures to the point where you know you got enough feed for those cows out there. All of that thing will be taught to make everything self-sufficient.
So we can all help out with that.
Oh, yes.
So that's why it's really important also for you guys to sign in, and then we'll be able to
The
communicate.
concept is,
with
the
them.
That's why the hub is right here.
We all will learn together by doing it together, and we all get better by working at each other's places.
Cause
So
I have,
Communicate to you about everything that's going on. And just to your point, I think that, you know, when we talk about the school, you know, the school is the next generation, which I really appreciate, you know, your knowledge of how important it is that we get the next generation of learners. But when I mentioned our nonprofit Ho'olulabui, which is actually the larger, bigger vision of what we're doing here, this is a community cultural education center. So, yeah, we wanna continue and drape, if we can create the opportunities to do these other courses that you talk about that aren't necessarily built into our once a month things that we have established now. That's what this place is for, so that we can, you know, have a space available for the community. So I think the more and the deeper things that we can offer, by all means. And the way to communicate that is through signing up so that we can make sure that we can get all this, these things available to you
the
guys.
next meeting, or what's happening in the community, and you can help come out. Um, They will be, like Jake already touched on how to make these inputs, there will be an intensive class on where they'll take one input at a time, teach you guys how to make it. May take a week to learn how to make it, because some will take stir it, and before you collect it, it's got to be open. But they will walk you through the whole system, to the point, and then hopefully we'll get Drake and some of these other people to come back, and Drake has already committed that he's gonna take the microscope so you can actually see what's happening to yourself, but also get it to the point where we can show you how to dilute this stuff and go out there and look at what plant to spray. Cause that seems to be one of the challenges now with classes being taught now in Vilo. And CGNF has already caught it, cause they started to make some certification schools. Making sure the stuff that is being made is being right, making sure the stuff that's being used is being used right. Because I have heard a lot of negative things saying, oh, that didn't work. And I go look at the guy and I say, tell me why it don't work. And he said, I tried, but let me see what you tried. And I looked, what he had, but that's not natural farming. Who taught you this? Give me the name of them, you thought about that, ask for your money back, because we didn't teach you wrong. And we started to get very sticky on this thing, because right now, we're the fastest growing organic system in the state. And the whole world is watching us because of the GMO challenges we have in the state. I mean, Gion Cho told me point blank, everybody is watching you. Who is everybody? She said the whole world. Whole CGN. All over the world. Because what happens in Hawaii will dictate which way natural farming will go throughout the whole world. See how much impact we've had with just natural farming in the last 6 years? I'm building piggeries all over the United States now. I only was supposed to build them in Hawaii, but there's so much demand now. All over the United States they build them. And I gotta start hurry up and build them faster there so I can get enough pigs here so we don't import pigs to Hawaii.
That's crazy.
But we've had major impact in the United States. I just need one successful city to satisfy BD tomorrow. And I think it's right here with the right people, Katie, Susie, Drake, and the families. You know, I'm a pepper guy, I think way out of the box. I don't teach you right now. This side of the island will teach the rest of Hawaii how to farm. And it's fun. So it's, you guys show, that's all I can say. We provide you guys the concept, we provide you the training, it's up to you to carry it on to the next step. You get another generation coming in from the school, perfect. Then you got the traditional farmers coming in, teaching you the Hawaiian ways, how the moon calendar, all feeding in, yeah? Tweaking on, like Drake said, gotta tweak on to the tropical zone. That's what we do right now. Because Hawaiian culture and Korean natural farming, the two dovetail, perfect. That's why all the emerging schools all calling me because I'm seeing this. Same workshops we're doing here, I gotta do in Makiki in January with that emerging school. I only met the lady one day with Kiki. Next thing you know, she said, "Wow, you gonna come Makiki and do the same thing here?" I kinda said, "No, I work for the state." I thought, "Oh, okay." So this thing is starting to take off. And what better place to do it in California? So it's no, it's you guys first town in town, it's gonna win the ball. It's just a matter of getting more people involved. Hopefully you tell one more person that about this meeting on the 23rd, so we get a little bit more people. Because Calais, when you hear her speak, she's a dynamic speaker. She is world renowned for Hawaiian New Calendar. And I was really fortunate, and we were really fortunate, to tell the truth, that she made time to come on. Because I was telling her on the phone, and Susie got in touch with her through email, and we met her through Drake. Drake was the first one to bring her into natural farming. So, this, I guess, let me get off the soapbox and let you guys go home for lunch and whatever. Basically, that's where we at. So we'll be sending you a flyer out on the 23rd, before the 23rd, so you guys can come back here.
Thank you.
That's the thing.